Hi, I'm Tina, and this is Auntie Tina's Antiques. And today we're going to talk about that made in some other country stamp. Right now in politics, we're really all about that whole made in the USA stuff. And well, you know, they say everything new is old again. No, everything old is new again. That's the saying. Everything old is new again. And that's not a new thing. Back in the 1880s, 1890s, we're looking at, you know, as America is past the Civil War, we're kind of getting through that Reconstruction phase, and all of a sudden our country has a surplus of money. And that's not a good thing because we're a country, we're not a company, and we're not supposed to have extra money because, oh my God, what would people think if the country had extra money? Huh. That's an interesting idea. Of course, there's two political parties, and one political party had an idea, and the other one had the opposite idea. One party thought, we are going to raise the taxes on everything coming in from another country so high that they won't want to send us anything. And then when they aren't sending us stuff, or what they do send us costs so much, the American people will step up and they will develop their own industry. Okay. Well, the other guys were like, no, why don't we just slash the taxes on everything coming in so we don't have as much money, we're not collecting as much money to begin with. And then the stuff that comes in is going to be poor quality and the American people will make their own stuff. Well, the first group won and they came up with this McKinley Tariff Act, and items were taxed at 50% or nearly 50% of their value, which quite a lot. But the plan didn't quite work the way they thought because those companies from other countries, they just passed the cost on into the final price of the item. And the American people really kind of start hurting because these are things that they needed and they're having to pay 50% more than what they were paying before. And we hadn't got to the point where the industry was developed enough to replace all of that stuff. So McKinley Tariff Act, it got modified and didn't really last in the original phase for a long time. But what did last were those stamps that we put on everything. So at that point, we started stamping everything from every other country that says made in Portugal, made in England, made in Japan. And stop that one. Whoop, it wasn't Japan. I figured this out the other day because I was going through looking for a particular stamp I had seen on that cache of stuff my husband brought from his grandmother's. And I found this cute little creamer and this cute little sugar dish, which I really wasn't too particularly fond of because they're pastel. And I don't like pastels very much, but I had them, so I flipped them over, and this one says, hand painted in Nippon. This one says hand painted in Japan. Alright, that caught my eye. They obviously go together, but they had different stamps. So, I have a degree in history, and I'm also working on a doctorate in another degree, so I'm pretty good with the research. So I looked up made in Nippon because I wasn't sure what that was. Now, if you are an expert in collecting antiques and vintage stuff, you're probably thinking, well, how stupid are you? Well, I'm new to this, and I'm learning it as I go, and being a teacher by nature, I figured I share what I learn. So I did. I looked it up. Well, Nippon is the English translation of the word Japan. And back in 1890, when we instituted that McKinley Tariff Act, we decided we're going to mark everything as Nippon. That came from the island that we all knew as Japan. Well, somewhere about 1921, they said Nippon is not an English word. We wanted stamps made in Japan. So now we have made in Japan. My guess is these two items, again, not being an expert, but my guess is they were a very popular pattern that was made in about that time, about the 1920s, 30s, and they kind of got caught in between that change because despite the fact that politicians up there in Washington saying change it, it doesn't always work that way. So these two pieces may not have originally been sold together, but they probably bridged that transition time of going from made in Japan to made in Japan. In addition, a lot of items got through that weren't stamped at all, like this plate that goes with the cute little dish. It wasn't stamped. A lot of companies, because well, there's just not a huge turnover in ceramics, would shave a little bit of the cost off by saving the stamp on, extra pieces, because if you're looking at a crate, you're the customs guy, and you've got a crate full of stuff, 500 pieces, you're going to pull a few out. Yep, it's got the stamp. You're not going to check at each and every piece. So, yeah, a lot of stuff came through that wasn't stamped. That's good. So, about the 1940s, we had a little bit of an embargo against Japan because, well, we had this war, and it's kind of like this big thing where, the whole world was involved. Twice is the second time we did that. So they didn't want to send anything from Japan. But 2 years after World War II, about 1947, we started bringing some stuff in, again, from Japan. And those things were marked made in occupied Japan, which was pretty cool. I actually have one earring that was made in occupied Japan. So I know a lot of people collect those items, and I think they're pretty neat. And that stopped probably, about the mid-50s, they stopped stamping things with occupied Japan, and they started, doing some different things, like putting stamps on. Not stamps like these stamps, more like sticker stamps, like the one that used to be on the bottom of this Demi-Tasse cup. This Demi-Tasse cup used to be mine. My grandma said it was mine, but I was told differently. But when I was this kid, not this kid, I was a kid, believe it or not, and I thought these were mine, I went through this whole set, which now resides at my mother's. It has the teapot, or the coffee pot, and the creamer, and the sugar, and all that stuff. And I washed those suckers because they were mine, and I was a kid, and I was going to wash them. And I washed off all these little stickers, because I didn't like stickers on my stuff. Well, these particular stickers told me that they were made in Japan. And I can tell that they were made in Japan in about the 1960s because of the shape and the color that's on them. So this cute little Demi-Tasse set was from Japan. There was Demi-Tasse sets got very, very popular, as is this cute little Demi-Tasse set that we've just picked up from my uncle's, and it is a fern, made in Japan fern. I didn't find out very much about that company. If you know about this particular company, please add something in the comments. That'd be awesome. But there are a lot of different companies and stuff, and basically, none of this stuff is really worth all that much. The antique brochure will tell you, you are not going to make your fortune off of vintage antique dishes. You're just not. This particular set, which I think is very pretty, my mom has the entire set. It is Noritake, and based on the stamp and the serial number, it's probably like the 1960s, and it's a beautiful set. However, even if she was trying to sell the entire set, we're talking serving dishes, the plates, the salad plates, the whole shebang, she may get about $500 off it. I'm not exactly sure because, again, not an expert here, but that's what I'm learning. One of the things I did learn that I thought was so cool is about this stuff. It's called moorage. And moorage, the artisans that were in Japan, they had studied over in Europe with other people, but it's basically the clay that they piped onto the dishes before they gilded it. They'd make like a little, like think of about icing on a cake, and they would pipe these thin lines, and then they would paint them gold. And it kind of gives it a raised feeling, which is, it's kind of nice. It makes it a little bit glittery and a little bit prettier. This particular set, which has always been one of my favorite sets that I totally covet for my mother, may not end up at her house, has, not only does it have the moorage on it, it is got luster paint, which is that rainbowy shine, which I absolutely love. and I will talk about in another show when we do the carnival glass stuff. But I picked up this other piece. It also had moorage on it a long time ago, and I was about to discard it because I wasn't thinking, you know, it was all that interesting. But I like the idea that I can look at this moorage, or these white lines, because this cup's been very well loved by somebody. My guess is some little girl loved it to death. But the gilding has been washed off of this piece, so you can actually see the lines where the piping, the clay was put onto this piece right here. And that's really pretty. What it comes down to is that you really want to just buy the pieces that you like. Don't necessarily think you're going to make your fortune on it. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't people that are going to pay stuff for it, because there's always going to be people that will pay something outrageous for anything. But when it comes down to it, buy things that you like. This particular piece was one I got from the grandma-in-law. It is a made in Japan, Noritake. It is stamped. I don't know what you would call this type of dish. I'm thinking it may be an ashtray. But I've seen similar pieces called lemon dishes, but they don't have the divide here, and they're actually square. So if you know the official name of this rose chintz round dish with a divided side and a little handle in it, please add it to the comments. Basically, enjoy your stuff. Have fun with it, and don't buy things that you don't like, because yeah, you're not going to be really wealthy with it. Sorry to say that. However, next week I am going to go by request and talk about the rhinestone vintage jewelry that was very popular way back when. Yep, those are actually pierced earrings. Remember the last time I talked about the clip-ons. But we'll talk about rhinestone jewelry next time. So until then, see you later. Have fun. Bye.